Welcome everyone to another enlightening episode of the Sold into Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Akeelia Thompson, and guess what? This is the final episode in this season. Yes, I can't believe that we're at this point, but we give all praise, honor, and glory to God. This is the final episode for this season. As always, we have a very remarkable guest who will be taking us on a journey of purpose and youth advocacy, looking towards the future. We have with us the incredible Odane Brooks, who is a recognized youth leader, change maker, and the recipient of the Under 30 Change Maker Award from the Institute of Caribbean Studies. As we delve into this inspiring story and insights that Odane will share, of course, we also want to take this opportunity to wish you our warmest holiday greetings, and we trust that it will be one that will be filled with joy, hope, peace, love, and of course that you will take all the practical insights that we've given you over these 10 episodes and use them so that you can get sold into purpose for 2024 and beyond. I'm excited to get into today's episode. I trust that you are too. I'm your host, Akeelia Thompson. Welcome to Sold into Purpose. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode, or should I say welcome to the final episode of the Sold into Purpose podcast for this season. I can't believe that we've made it to this point, and we are indeed grateful. Thank you so much for your support, your comments, your likes, your shares, just your overall energy and vibe with us this and every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. But guess what? Have no fear, we'll be back with you in the new year. So look out for us in February as we'll be dropping some more wonderful stories that you can use to get sold into purpose. But if you're just joining us, perhaps you're new and you're just catching up with the SIP community here on the Soul into Purpose podcast, this is where we take a deep dive into the heart and soul of personal growth. We share heartfelt stories as well as practical insights that you can use to live a more purposeful life. We also take a sip together, this at every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. sharp, and we provide you with valuable soul stories that you can use as guiding points to unlock your future. Guess what? Coming in January, to be specific, on January 31st, 2024, we'll be having our very first masterclass. And this is what you can use to start off the year, right? So that you can get sold into purpose into every aspect of your life. This simple investment is only 1,500 Jamaican dollars and $10 USD. And we have some exciting speakers as well as guest performers and giveaways leading up to the masterclass. So please stay connected with us on Instagram at Souled Into Purpose, that is SOULED Into Purpose, and join our challenges so that you can win some wonderful prizes, as well as follow us on YouTube, that is subscribe at Akeelia Thompson, so that is AKEELIA Thompson. Subscribe on YouTube so that you can know whenever we go live. You can catch up with our previous episodes and you can stay connected with us for information on the Sold Into Purpose Masterclass coming to you in January. As always, we bring you our very special guests who are here to take us on a journey. And today it is no different. We have with us the incredible Odin Brooks, who is here to take us on a journey of purpose and youth advocacy, looking towards the future. You don't want to miss it. But before we move on, what are you having this morning? Let us know in the comment section. Where is your teacup? Where is your coffee cup? And guess what? If you don't have one for this season, get it for season 2, because we'll be definitely taking more sips together. Welcome to Sold Into Purpose. Hi there, and welcome to the final sip feature for this year. I'm having the Mountain Peak Instant Coffee. What are you having? Let us know in the comment section. It's really good. Guess what? You know that we cannot go further into the show without acknowledging the one who gave us our skills, talent, health, strength, capabilities to do what we do with you this and every Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. So you know what time it is. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we embark on this enlightening journey of purpose and youth advocacy, let us take a moment to center our hearts and minds. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the gift of life and purpose. Guide us in our quest to advocate for the youth and inspire positive change. Bless our conversation with Odin Brooks, that it may be one that resonates with those who are seeking direction and encouragement. May the wisdom shared today plant seeds of purpose in the hearts of our listeners. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you so much for taking a sip with us. You know what's up next, right? Guess what? We're stepping into the purpose zone. Hi there, thank you so much for joining us for the purpose zone. No, that's not how we do it. You've just stepped into the purpose zone, and guess what? Here on the purpose zone, this is where we take a few minutes to pause and reflect and to see what practical insights you can use to get sold into purpose. This morning, we're looking on purpose and youth advocacy. Particularly, we're looking towards the future. But you may be wondering, what is this? Let us take a look. In this insightful episode, we delve into the critical intersection of purpose and youth advocacy. As we navigate this conversation, we'll explore the significance of purpose in relations to youth advocacy. Here, the fusion of purpose and advocacy becomes particularly compelling as we contemplate how a deeper sense of purpose can drive meaningful and positive change within the sphere of youth engagement. Mind you, Youth advocacy is a vital force for societal progress, and this helps us to gain a new dimension when it is coupled with a clear sense of purpose. Join us on this journey as we explore the dynamics of a purpose driven actions that youth can use to make change in their life. This discussion, therefore, aims to shed a light on the transformative potential and a purpose that helps us to move into the right path. And we'll be having this discussion with our very special guest. So stick around for this conversation because you don't want to miss it. That is Purpose and Youth Advocacy, looking towards the future. Good morning, everyone. And guess what? I have some exciting news for you. Coming up on January 31st, 2024, we have our very first Sold into Purpose Masterclass. You don't want to miss it. We will be doing the work to get sold into purpose. We have some very specially invited guests, giveaways, interactive sessions. We have the vision workshop. We have a free workbook, all of this at an affordable cost of $1,500 JMD and $10 USD. If you want to know the payment options, just give us a shout on social media and we will give you the information. The registration link is below. 2 minutes to register. That's it. And you get your tickets, you get everything ready. Coming up for our master class on January 31st at 8 p.m. sharp on Zoom. You don't want to miss it. There will be none like it. Please make every effort to come, get sold into purpose, as well as to sponsor somebody and share it with someone. Let someone know who will let someone know that this masterclass will definitely change your life. Please, guess what? What are you waiting for? Go and register now. Go and register now. All right. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the masterclass next year by His grace. Thank you so much for joining us for this wonderful and final soul story for this season. Season's greetings to you. And if you're just joining us, I'm your host, Akeelia Thompson. And as always, in this section of the program, we bring to you heartfelt stories that you can use to get sold into purpose. Today, we have another special guest, Mr. Odin Brooks, and he is a distinguished development and public policy professional with a master's in international public and development management. As a recent public policy fellow, he has excelled in public development, NGO management, and he is a credible youth leader in Jamaica and the Caribbean. With a strong track record, Odin played a crucial role in strengthening policy and regulatory governance for the nonprofit sector at the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies. He has also contributed valuable insights on trade and commerce policy issues at the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce. Currently, he is a monitoring and evaluation specialist at the Development Bank of Jamaica, where he oversees the Boosting Innovation Growth and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Program BIGI. His expertise ensures the effectiveness of various aspects of this program. Beyond his professional roles, Odin actively engages in community empowerment with an unwavering commitment to excellence, policy development, and youth empowerment. Adane is a thought leader and emerging leader in the Caribbean, while he helps to shape a brighter future for the region. Ladies and gentlemen, stick and stay with us because you don't want to miss this inspiring story as he will take us on a journey of purpose and youth advocacy looking towards the future. Today is our final soul story for this series. So guess what? If you've missed the previous episodes, go back and watch them. We'll have the information in the description below. And as always, here on the Soul into Purpose podcast, we share with you soul stories that you can use to get soul into purpose. Each and every Wednesday morning, we come to you with our very special guest. And today it is no different because we have a guest, our final guest for the series, and he has an extensive resume. So let me see if I can break it down for you a bit. So he is the Governor General, I believe, Ambassador, CARICOM Youth Ambassador, UNESCO Youth Ambassador, Youth Parliamentarian in St. Andrew. He is also on a broader scale a development and public policy professional. He is also a 30 Under 30 Change Maker Awardee for 2023. He is an adjunct lecturer, so Wolipa studying, and also a teacher. He is also the monitoring and evaluation specialist at the DBJ, so we can learn a little bit on how you can get started in the entrepreneurial sector and everything else that he knows in that facet. And he's also leading the Youth Month Advisory Committee, and this is a special group of people who come together and form initiatives that are geared towards youth empowerment. So if you want to know if he's someone who you can look up to, guess what? He will unravel the story with us while he takes us on a journey of purpose and youth advocacy looking towards the future. Mr. Adane Brooks, welcome to the Soul into Purpose podcast. We're so happy to have you today, and season's greetings to you.
Thank you for having me, Miss Thompson, and greetings to your own audience out there in TV, if you could say, as well as podcast land.
All right, thank you so much. And how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Just getting off the work, the 9 to 5, and I must say it has been a pretty good and interesting start of the week.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to hear that you have the 9 to 5 because for many of us who are looking on social media, we would not believe that because you're in so many places. And of course, we want to get a little bit into your business because we want to know how you are so multifaceted and, just all over the place, doing good work, of course, and promoting youth advocacy. But before we got to this wonderful aspect in your journey, tell us about Adane. What inspired you to take this path?
A very good question, and just reflecting on the name of the podcast, Sold into Purpose, I think I reached that juncture very early in my own personal and professional life. And as a result of that, I have been able to hone the skills that I have developed over time. But importantly for me, it has never been about self. It has always been about country and service to country. And as part of this, I have sought to build out two facets to my overall disposition. So I have the professional facet where I seek to contribute to nation building through the public policy realm. And I also have the personal facet through which I seek to give community and nation building service. And I believe that both of those two facets coming together has provided me with an enabling platform where I'm able to contribute to sustainable impacts within my community. And from that vantage point, I believe that that is the springboard that has caused me to be sold into my purpose and ultimately on the trajectory on which I'm on today.
Awesome. And just to ask, because many of us, we grew up in Jamaican homes and we see our role models, maybe our mother or father or somebody else in the family who is in a particular capacity. Was there anybody in particular in your family that you look up to, or was it anything in your environment that inspired you to take this path? Because public policy is not, something that the average Jamaican will go after. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I would definitely say the parents that I would have grown up with, they were very public spirited individuals. So it was, I would describe a ritual in my household for us to tune into the nightly news each night. And from that very early, I became attuned and interested in public affairs. And I think at that very early age, just watching the news and being engaged in the family discussions at that time, it sparked my own interest in government, in governance. And from there, I think it was all fermented that public policy or anything relating to public governance would have ultimately been the sphere in which I would have wanted to go. So that ecosystem is very important, where you have outlets where you're able to see positive elements that you can emulate. And I would have certainly gotten that from my parents. Once I transitioned into high school, I would have also gotten an environment where I'm able to express myself, and being an advocate and an advocate who aspires to work with government, I automatically knew from then that public policy is a very good way of channeling that need for advocacy and that need for representing the best interests of Jamaicans. And so in a nutshell, that is the story behind where I'm at currently.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing. And you mentioned quite a few things, and I want to break it down a little bit before we go further. So you mentioned the ecosystem, which is the support that you got from those who are around you and having those positive role models to emulate. For persons who may not be so privileged to be in such an environment, what would be your recommendation to them in terms of just navigating all the challenges that would come at them as they go on their personal journey to achieve their purpose in life?
That's a pretty good question, and it is one that I take seriously given the work that I do at the community level and the extent of the brokenness that I know that exists within many families. So I often reach out to these individuals on the basis of not being defeated by the fact that you might not have the support within your immediate family, but seek other outlets. There are other social groupings within communities. There are other clubs, there are other organizations that allows you to connect with familiar minds. And once you're able to identify those outlets and make those connections, it enables you to foster that innate selflessness that is within you. But I'm also mindful that not all individuals are so conscious to be able to seek out those opportunities. But ultimately, most of us Jamaicans go through a formal education system. And so that also serves as a good springboard where young people can own and to develop their own skill sets. So if you like to speak, find a debate club within your own school. That is a way for you to express yourself. That is a way for you to develop your persona as a public speaker. So I often would tell young people, don't be defeated by your immediate circumstances, but look beyond that immediate circumstances to be able to see opportunities that are around you and tap into those opportunities, because ultimately we're trying to be sold into our purpose.
All right, so I'm going to touch on education a little bit later, and I want to touch on your personal and professional development. But as you were speaking, something came back to me. So I grew up having those opportunities as it relates to student leadership, and I started out with the Brownie, the 4-H, and stuff like that. But I must admit that there are some parents who still hold the opinion that this is just a waste of time. We have to make another uniform and they have to pay the dues and all of that. And they see it as a waste rather than an investment into their child's future. What would be your recommendation to those persons who possibly still hold those views? Because truthfully speaking, those opportunities were the starting point for me to evolve into other roles going through the educational system. So what would be your advice to those persons who still hold that, old opinion, I would say?
I would say that firstly, as a young person, we have to develop an understanding of where some of these sentiments arise from. Because oftentimes when you interrogate the history of some of our parents, they weren't exposed to some of these things. And so it's an automatic thing for them to carry these sentiments. So it requires some amount of reverse socialization, if you could say, where we are now re-socializing our parents, because we are growing and we are in an era of information. And so you could say we are better informed. And so as young persons, we can utilize the technology that we have, which our parents are trying to keep connected to. We can use that as mechanisms to bring them into the light, for want of a better word. But directly to say to these individuals that look beyond what you would have been exposed to and recognize the significant potential that these exposures have for our children. And importantly, it might not directly equate to them earning a subject, which most of them equate several things to. If it doesn't lead to a subject, it's not important. But there are significant life skills that can be earned from being involved in a student leadership position. These are the things that builds character. And character building is an important facet of the society that needs continuous work. Because if we can build stronger characters within our young people, we will be able to solve some of the other issues that plague the society. So view it as character building and a process that enables your child or children to hone their skills and to come into their own as an individual.
Agreed. And just to add for persons who are out there and believe that we're just talking, being a part of these clubs and societies actually helped me and put me in a better standing as it relates to scholarship and education. So if you're worried about that, this is something that can build the characters Odin rightfully mentioned and other skills that they would need for the work at the workplace and just for life in general. But it can also help them from an educational standpoint where they're exposed to other opportunities such as grants and scholarships that will help them to move forward. So you have it here. You just heard why it is important for you to have your child invest in these things. So we're talking about young people, and I want you to define youth. What is youth? And I trust that I am still young enough to be a youth. Who's a youth?
So the definition of youth, it varies based on where you look. But traditionally speaking, within the Jamaican space, we would define youth between the ages of 12 to 29. And that is for the purpose of many of the programs that cater to young people. But from the standpoint of the United Nations, they might bring youth up to around 35. But ultimately, I think youth is how you feel. You might not be regarded as a youth, but you can be youthful in your thinking. You can be youthful in your disposition. So, whilst an entity might not recognize you as a youth, ultimately you can do youthful things. You can be the vibrant citizen that you are. You can be the patriot that you are. So ultimately, it is how you feel and not limited by what is on a document or accorded by an organization.
Thank you for that. You shared that we can, well, youths in general will encounter different challenges in the society. You've traveled a little bit, so I just wanted to share when you go to your meetings or your conferences, what are some of the common challenges that you can say are prevalent in Jamaica as well as in the Caribbean?
I would say one of the major challenges that is prevalent is issues to do with empowerment. So we have several programs that are targeting at young people. But as someone in the public policy realm, there oftentimes is a disconnect. So one of the issues that manifests from that is the issue of marginalization. So if we should reflect within the Jamaican society, we have different subset of individuals who have access to mainstream opportunities. But there are also a subset of individuals who are not so attuned or have access to some of those opportunities. So that marginalization brings us into another discussion about issues to do with inclusivity. How can we make resources, whether public or private, more inclusive and more accessible to the marginalized and the disenfranchised? And that is not just an issue that is unique to Jamaica. It is an issue that spreads across the Caribbean, and if I could extend also in Latin America. So public policy, and I relate all of this back to public policy because that is where governments are able to set the tone with policies. And so oftentimes governments are challenged to increase the level of inclusivity within the society. How can you bring those individuals who are disenfranchised into the mainstream where they can access public resources that are available? And so fundamentally, marginalization and issues to do with inclusion and access to resources generally, whether it be reproductive resources, whether it be employment opportunities, all of those are things that are consistently or a common thread throughout the region as a common challenge that is faced by young people.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because maybe before persons are of the opinion that you sit down, we wait on these opportunities to come to us, but now we have the advent of AI, we have the internet, and we also have the skills and capabilities, I believe, in different capacities, of course, but the skills and capabilities to go out and to do something for ourselves and to see how we can change our trajectory in spite of the policies or what the government may say. But what would you say to persons who are still of the mindset that I was born into this situation, it's the government, it's poverty, but we have all of these resources available at our disposal? Challenging, yes, but it is still available.
I think to address that fundamentally, we have to target a mindset, a kind of mentality, because we have to wage a war against a defeatist mindset within our population. And especially in the context where we operate within a sphere where it is easy to get hopeless. And where there is hopelessness, individuals usually turn a blind eye against outlets that are available for self-improvement. So I would say to those individuals that despite whatever challenges they might be faced with, they should see beyond those challenges. And seeing beyond those challenges means that you have to do some amount of soul searching. You have to find your purpose and align that purpose with what opportunities are available, because opportunities are endless. But when we do not have that self-driven attitude, ultimately those opportunities will pass on to others who are so guided. So ultimately, we have to seek outlets where we can develop our intrinsic motivation, or we have to associate ourselves with people who can build us and who can allow us to unearth that motivation within us. So I would say that it's not an easy response to the question, but it is one that challenges individuals to find their innate purpose and ultimately channel all of their energies in unearthing and strengthening that purpose.
Thank you. Just touching a little bit on some of your roles and in your capacity as a CARICOM Youth Ambassador. And for some persons, this is just something that is fancy. And here we try to make it as practical and real to persons who are listening to the conversation. What do you believe is your overarching purpose in that capacity, or what do you wish to achieve?
So in that capacity, it is an attempt by the heads of governments across the Caribbean to bridge the gap that exists between governments and youth. Mm-hmm. And so I am somewhat an interlocutor who represents the issues that young people are interested in at the level of CARICOM. And so how it works, we work closely with the CARICOM Secretariat, and the CARICOM Secretariat is the closest you can get to heads of government. And so at the localized level here in Jamaica, the issues that are relevant for young people, especially the Caribbean single market and the economy, all of us learned that in high school, but a lot of us do not know what this CSME is all about. So in my capacity, one of the focus areas that I have along with my counterpart is to focus some more on building greater awareness about the Caribbean single market and economy and the opportunities that it presents for employment, and also providing us as a approximately 3 million population with wider access to different markets, to different talents. And so in my role, I am seeing how I can identify different gaps that exist where our young people can feel like the integration movement can work. And oftentimes the sentiments that prevail against the CARICOM is out of ignorance. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, my role and all of the ambassadors across the region is to bridge that disconnect that exists oftentimes with governments across the region and the institution of CARICOM with youth across the region. So that is a synopsis of the role.
Thank you so much for breaking that down for us, and I trust that we're taking notes as we listen to Mr. Brooks. He has a lot to share, but I just want you, if you will, just share some key characteristics that you would impart to other leaders, because you've had a pretty fair share, I would say, of leadership on different scales. So what are some key characteristics you would share with other leaders who want to invoke positive change in their organization or whatever space they find themselves in?
The first thing is that as leaders, you have to lead by example. So whatever you are championing, you must reflect those principles, those values, because ultimately, whoever you lead or the people you want to accompany you on this journey, they must be able to look on you and identify with similar values. So you must lead by example. And another characteristic that a leader must have, they must be able to listen. Oftentimes, leadership demands that you be the one at the front, be the one to be talking. But if you are going to maintain your position as an effective leader, you must be able to listen to others around you. You must be able to take counsel, because ultimately, no individual knows it all. You will err at some point in time. You might not make the best decisions at points, but as individuals who are not infallible, you must be willing to listen and take counsel and advice from others around you. And another trait for a leader is that you must believe in empowering and building others around you. It is not always about you. So never be so consumed into your little bubble that everything is built and is torn down around you. So you must focus on developing others who are around you, exposing them to similar opportunities, and also allow them to come into their own as a leader ultimately. Because when you demit a particular role, you must be confident that someone else within your immediate circle and even someone else looking on is able to matriculate into that position. And that is where you know that you would have been an effective leader.
Wow. And speaking on leadership, I'm aware that at the university level, we have the different councils, and then from there, persons may move on to jutes. But for persons who are not so clear as to how they can go into the parliament scene, because a lot of persons, they have the dream, but they don't really have a clear-cut road. So please walk us through. You can start with from the council, we can go jutes, and then what happens. I know we have the many junior political parties, the PMPYO and the other one from JLP. Help us to navigate that journey.
So ultimately, if you want to be sold into your purpose, you have to be clear on what that purpose is. So if you're at the university level and you're so inclined for advocacy, you can start, as you said, with your UWI Guild of Council. You can start there because that's a form of leadership, that's a form of advocacy. If you are so inclined to look into the political realm, you can look at the GLP, the Generation 2000, the Young Professional Arm for the GLP. You can also look at the PNPYO, which is a similar young professional arm. And you can see how you can position yourself to become an advocate in those spaces, to champion the causes that are important to you. And from there, ultimately, you want to develop your professional qualities, and ultimately you want to develop a brand persona that speaks to who you are as an individual. And based on your own trajectory as an individual, if you want to go further in the political realm, there are various avenues that you can ultimately go into. You can go into political advising, political consultancy. You can go into the realm of social media, how you can leverage technology to bolster political communication. that's a form of political engagement. If you are so inclined to be a counselor, you can see how you can be accepted into one of the parties as a potential candidate. And if you are so inclined and brave to be a member of parliament, you can also seek to get the delegates' endorsement. But ultimately, it all starts with understanding what that purpose is and being able to map how you will get there. Because the members of parliament today did not just get up overnight and became member of parliament. They would have strategically aligned themselves. And then with that positioning, it opens doors of opportunities.
Well, so if you're out there and this is a path that you believe that you want to take, we have different avenues. Social media might be my thing for other persons who want to get real and serious about this path. It is something that if we want to have change, we have to first be the change and then see how best it is that we can advocate for those changes, especially for us as youth. Alrighty. So we're talking about education and we touched it a little bit earlier, and you're a part of the Youth Education Association, and the mission is really to expand the educational possibilities or opportunities, I should say, for the underprivileged youths in Jamaica. Can you share some further insight on this initiative?
Sure. So Youth Education Association, in short, YEA, we are a we're a charitable organization rather. We are also registered with the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies. This is the regulatory arm of the government that deals with the charity sector. And the focus of this organization is to champion the cause of education, because we recognize that if we're going to build a strong nation, we need people who are educated. And so what our work has been is to focus on young people who are disenfranchised, who are not able to access the educational opportunities and the materials that are necessary to allow them to access the best quality education. And so we provide schools supplies. We also provide mentorship and youth development sessions. And with this thrust on education, we have been doing reading literacy across the program. And through this program, what we do, we seek to provide institutions with a day of expertise in literacy, where we would contract the services of a literacy specialist, and this individual would go into the institution, have a full day of interaction with students, and through this process, we're trying to correct the issues that we have with literacy within the country. And we have been seeing significant gains through that. Ultimately, we're seeking to expand this and to institutionalize it within more institutions across the country. And since we're in the Youth-tide season, Youth Education Association, we also do Christmas treats. We would have done 2 Christmas treats last year, and this year we would have been, this Friday actually, last Friday, we would have also executed another Christmas treat. So ultimately, this organization is about uplifting our youth through anything education related.
Wow, and a great initiative. And I trust that those who are currently in the program, that they would see the benefit of this and to share it with other persons. And even after being empowered in the space, they can maybe not a specialist as yet, but take on some initiative to help someone else within that particular space. And yes, viewers and listeners, Santa Claus does come to Jamaica because he just mentioned have Christmas treats. So if you can just touch base with him and get the information, we can show up, and not just show up for the treats, show up with a gift, and also be a part of the change that we're trying to do. I want to push back a little bit because you just mentioned education, and we have social media where someone who may say, going to school, getting the subjects is not my thing anyway, and I can become a sensation overnight on TikTok. Why go through that route and waste all of that money? Do you believe that education is still the vehicle, both in your capacity as an educator yourself and a student? Do you believe that education is still the vehicle that can help our youths to get sold into purpose?
100%. The beauty about education is that it gives you intelligence that no one can take away from you. You might have assets in the form of a house, in the form of a building. All of that can be destroyed in the snap of a finger. But an educated individual, and when I speak here of education, I'm not speaking of having a degree, because we have a lot of people with degrees, but they are not functional. So if you are able to earn yourself an education, even though you are into TikTok, you are into being an influencer, being an intelligent individual, you can turn over the earning potentials from those avenues in multiple folds that you might not have been able to do if you did not have that added exposure. And that is what education does. It exposes you beyond your nose bridge. And if you are able to get that exposure, it enables you to multiply your capabilities. It enables you to unearth talents that you might not have been able to realize. So if you are a TikToker, probably you can be the next big sensation if you have that business intelligence where you can organize the venture that you're involved in, and you can capitalize upon it, where you can attract funding. All of this goes back to the critical thinking that education exposes you to, and being able to know more than you actually know now. So education most definitely is important because it is about developing and empowering yourself as an individual.
Most definitely. And even in the space, as you rightfully mentioned, as an entrepreneur, it is important for us to get into the space of knowing our contracts, because that is a critical part of navigating business. And you may not have a lawyer to go through everything. If you're able to understand the key principles, then you can have those discussions, ask for what you're worth. I just saw a video on TikTok, somebody talking about being in that space as an influencer and how you negotiate those things so that you can earn your full potential based on the particular job or whoever is hiring you. So definitely education plays a key role in that. And I just want to take you back to an event that you went to earlier in the year, that is the British High Commission, that initiative where you were a panelist, and essentially they were talking about sustainable education for the future and how we can mitigate some of those issues. Were there any key points that stood out to you from that engagement?
Certainly. One of the things about our education system is the need for it to evolve. And evolve meaning that the education transition throughout different phases based on where the world is going. And so the world is in the thrust of the fourth industrial revolution and going into the fifth, some might say. But the education system has not caught up with where the world is at. And so ultimately, the citizenry that we're producing, they are not able to take on some of the new opportunities that are emerging. And so ultimately, it will have implications for our overall economic competitiveness, because Jamaica is not just a standalone country. We're competing with others across the globe. And so if the education system is not producing citizens that are resilient in the skill sets that we are producing, then we are not able to tap into global opportunities. So earlier you made mention of the emergence or the proliferation rather of AI technology. That is a major space for us as a country to tap into. But if the education system has not been focusing on technology and focusing on things such as robotics and coding, we're not able to tap into those opportunities. And so that element of sustainability is very important. Can our current education setup bring our people to a point where we can compete in emerging industries? Can we earn increased GDP and per capita income from other sectors other than tourism, which ultimately is susceptible to global shocks? So that is what a sustainable education, what it looks like, and what we are challenged to produce at this juncture. Mind you, we're trying to catch up, but we are not where we should have been if we are to be competitive.
And something that I do for myself on a personal level in terms of looking on the competitive scale, if persons can also do this, if you go on LinkedIn, and that is a good platform that I would encourage every young professional or youths to be on so that you can network and build your profile. But if you look at the job requirements, you would see the different changes that they make each year. And you're also able to take make an assessment of your personal skill set and to see what you need to do. If it is that you need to do some online certification to stay up within a particular industry. So we have to look at those things and to see what we can do to ensure that we are still competitive within the market, notwithstanding the fact that there are still challenges in the current educational system. But as we rightfully mentioned here before, it's important for us to have a proactive mindset. We can't just sit down and wait on the system to change. We are believing that the change will come, but until then, let us see what we can do to stay ahead and also to become some of those persons who are in those positions to look back and to help others come up in the different realms, so to speak. So let us do that and to see how we can make those changes to not get left behind, so to speak. All right, so you are an awardee, 2023 awardee for the 30 Under 30 Change Maker Award. So how did you feel when you saw this, and how does this award align with your greater sense of purpose?
I would say that it was a humbling experience. Someone who is coming out of Southampton, St. Elizabeth, someone who attended Magati High School, a non-traditional high school. It was of sort a vindication, if one could say, because it spoke to the value that can come out of anywhere, irrespective of where you might have been planted. Because many might look at my overall education trajectory attending Magati High School in St. Elizabeth and believing that going to that institution would be doomsday. That award, it was of sort a vindication that ultimately where you are planted, oftentimes it is not the soil that might be the issue, it is the seed that is being planted. And so I think that award, it consolidated for me that I'm on a good trajectory, and on a trajectory where I'm not only seeking to develop my own professional being, but I'm also focusing on giving back to my community. And that award is principally on that basis, the extent to which the individual gives back to the community. And so it further consolidated and reaffirmed for me the importance of giving back to your community in purposeful service. And it consolidated for me that this is what my purpose is. This is what I am about. And even if I did not receive this award, I would have still felt driven and motivated, because as I alluded to at the top of the interview, I believe that my being is to serve people. And through service, I believe that I am fulfilling what my God-given purpose is.
Well, congratulations to you on this award and the many awards that you will receive, and also on your current positions. We are so proud of you, and we trust that you will continue on this journey, and that this discussion will also help others to say, hey, maybe I can travel this path as well to make the changes that we need to see in the world. I just want you to touch a little bit on entrepreneurship. We touched on it a little bit, but in more so in your capacity at the DBJ. How can persons tap into their potential? Are there any opportunities or programs that are available that they can make use of to realize their dreams?
Certainly. So presently, in my capacity as a monitoring and evaluation specialist with the Boosting Innovation Growth and Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Program, BIGGE for short, this program, it targets the development of an innovation ecosystem in Jamaica, an ecosystem in which we provide grant as well as technical capacity support to entrepreneurs to bring ideas that they might have to life. And if the ideas are already birthed, we provide financial support to further build out those ideas. We have different programs and products under the BIGGE program. So if you are a small firm that is just a concept, is just an idea, we have a product that can target that. If you are an existing business but you want to scale up your operations, we have a product that targets that specifically as well. If you are an existing entrepreneur with a business, but you are not getting your bookkeeping right, and we all know that bookkeeping is very important in business. If you're not getting that bookkeeping right, and if you're not getting that marketing plan right, we also offer support through our network of centers such as the JBDC, Branson Centers, Kingston Creative, UEMEC, TIC. All of those outlets, we provide support to them to be able to provide you with that business coaching that you might require. And ultimately, we're trying to build sustainable businesses. And so we do not just provide you with these support and leave you to weather the storm. The BIGGE program also exposes you to a network of other investors, other businesses, where you are able to access resources and also a network of people who you are able to share your ideas with, who you are able to bounce off ideas from. And ultimately, what we're trying to do is to build an ecosystem of entrepreneurs, irrespective of your growth stage as a business. You must be able to access resources. You must be able to access technical assistance and also access a network of like-minded people who you are able to share your journey with and ultimately benefit in a kind of symbiotic way. And so this is a Government of Jamaica funded program in collaboration with the Inter-American Development Bank. And so persons can check out what we offer at thinkbiggie.com as well as on the DBJ platforms to learn more.
Thank you so much for that information, and I trust that persons who are here will have that information in the description below. Please go and check out these opportunities and to see how best it is that you can launch your business, take it from the ideation stage into the execution stage, and of course make some money, because that's the end goal. We're coming down in the conversation, but you mentioned something before where you said your God-given purpose, and I must ask you, how important is faith in unlocking your purpose, whether on a personal or professional level?
I think it is very important because times change, people change, but values usually never change so easily. And so whatever values that connects you to whoever you identify as your supreme being, those are the things that keeps you grounded. Those are the things that keeps you firm in what you believe in. Because ultimately, circumstances will test your fiber as an individual, but ultimately your faith is what will hold you together. Because many persons during the COVID period might attest that it was a period where they felt like giving up, income streams dried up, but most of those individuals, the only thing they had was their faith, and that faith is what restored hope. And so in whatever aspirations we have, it is important that we try and locate ourselves within some form of belief in a higher order, a higher being that can keep us grounded and connected.
Most definitely so. And we have Vision 2030. Just in your estimation, how far or how near are we to achieving that?
That's a very difficult question, because in some respects, if we should look at some of the indicators, and the Planning Institute of Jamaica tries to keep us up to date as to how we're doing across the different indicators, because we have national goals, and from those national goals, they're further broken down into trackable indicators. And in some respect, we're doing well on certain indicators, but in others, we're not doing so well. But if we should look at it from the grander scheme of Jamaica being a place to live, work, raise family, and do business, I don't think we might get there for 2030, but I don't think that it should be seen as failure, because we did not achieve the MDGs when the UN set out with them back around 2015. But here we are now with SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So it is for us to morph our current trajectory and to fast track it so we're able to stay on the course and to achieve ultimately the development goals that we want. But if I must say that I think from the economic side of things, we are doing creditably well given our history. But on the social side of things, there needs some more work, and especially on the issue of crime and violence, that is a major deterrent for many persons to believe in the Vision 2030 mission. So ultimately, on the social side, we have to build greater harmonious society. We also have to look at issues of social equity, social inclusion, and also on the technological side as well. We also have to look at building out our technology infrastructure to drive greater innovation within the society, where we're able to shift the economy from a pretty much agrarian primary industry economy to earning more value added dollars from industries. So in a nutshell, we might not get to 2030, but we should continue the project that is Jamaica, because ultimately 2030, it's a tall order. We have so many things to fix, but I fully believe in the capabilities and the resilience of the Jamaican people to continue on the path to ultimately achieving the 2030 vision.
Awesome. You mentioned just now Project Jamaica, and I just want to ask you, for someone who may have traveled with us on the journey until this point, and you're saying that this is just another intellectually stimulating conversation. We're talking about CARICOM, talking about the industries, the SDGs, and everything. From where you sit now in your various capacities, do you believe that one day we will see the change that we so desire as it relates to youth advocacy, and just looking forward to a brighter future?
I certainly do, because if I did not, I might have packed up all of what I'm doing right now. But I think that within all of us, we hold a part of the puzzle, which is Project Jamaica. So the entire fixing of Jamaica, it is a puzzle. And no one individual holds all of the elements to that puzzle. So all of us, we have an element of that puzzle. And if we can do our small positive deed in our corner and put it to that created puzzle, then I think that we ultimately will be able to do so. But it means that some of us might have to double up on our contribution to the puzzle, because not all individuals are contributing to the puzzle. And so those of us who are doing good, it can be daunting, it can feel lonely. Sometimes you might get to the point where you feel like giving up because the system might be frustrating you. I would say to you to remain focused, remain resolute in what you believe in, remain set on looking at the ultimate picture of what you are contributing to, and that is Project Jamaica, because if we don't do it, no one else will. And so we have to remain true to the cause and remain committed to being sold into the purpose of building Jamaica.
Awesome, awesome recommendation. And this is my final question to my final guest for this episode. What are your parting words to the youths around the globe? What would you say to them in terms of unlocking their purpose, or just in general, anything that is your personal mantra that you wish to impart to the audience?
I would want to leave with them that despite your immediate shortcomings, your immediate challenges, those challenges do not define you as an individual. Those challenges do not ultimately determine your outcome as an individual. What determines your outcome is what you choose to believe in. And if you believe in that inner being that is within you, believe in that capability that is within you, you can move mountains, you can pass any test, you can climb any mountain, you can cross any river. So ultimately, you have to start believing in you. And once you start that believing in you, you are on a path where you are sold into your purpose. And ultimately, that is where we all have to get, believing and finding that purpose.
Thank you so much, Odin. This is beyond an enlightening conversation, and I trust that those who are listening, that they will take something with them, not just for this episode, but into the new year as we do our reflections and to see what changes we can make either from a personal or professional standpoint to make the necessary positive changes in our lives and also in the lives of others. So thank you so much for joining us. Season's greetings again, and we wish you the very best on your journey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what a journey this has been. And I just want to thank everyone for being with us on this journey. Thank you so much for your words of encouragement. This has been a wonderful season, and we would not have it any other way. We thank the Lord for His grace and His mercy for taking us this far. And for now, we'll be back with you bright and early next year with another exciting season 2. But if you want to connect with us before then, we're having the Soul into Purpose Masterclass 2024. This will be held on January 31st, 2024 at 8 p.m. sharp on Zoom. Your investment is only 1,500 GMD or $10 USD. But before that, we have some challenges and prizes where you can win a ticket for this masterclass. So please make every effort to be a part of it, as we want you to be sold into purpose for the new year. This was a powerful episode, and I trust that you will take all that you need to make some improvements before the new year. But before we go, we also want to take this opportunity to extend our warmest greetings to you. And as always, if you wish to share your powerful story, you may contact us at 876-427-7067 or send us an email at souledintopurpose@gmail.com. That is souledintopurpose@gmail.com. Season's greetings to you, and I pray that this will be a wonderful Christmas and New Year for you. We are incredibly grateful for your support. Stay tuned for the exciting content that we will have on our pages while we take the break. So stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook at Souled Into Purpose. That is SOULED Into Purpose. Or subscribe on YouTube at Akeelia Thompson. That is AKEELIA Thompson. The information is on your screen. So please stay connected so that you can know what we are up to. Until then, it is time to reflect, rejuvenate, and embrace the possibilities that this new year holds. Thank you so much for being a part of the Souled Into Purpose community. We're so happy to have you, and we hope to grow even bigger and better in the new year. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Akeelia Thompson, signing out for this year. Merry Christmas when it comes, and Happy New Year. Bye.